Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Tensei Slime Light Novel Summary series on AniMonolith. Continuing from the previous part, after Rimuru and Leon's argument began to escalate, Guy stepped in. "Honestly, I was hoping things would get better once you arrived," Guy complained, looking visibly exhausted. "But it seems I was mistaken." Rimuru wasn't sure what Guy had expected from him, and before he could ask, Diablo chimed in with a sinister laugh. "Ku-fu-fu-fu. Why don't we simply settle everything right here? Luckily, Mizeri and the others are already accustomed to setting up damage reduction barriers." For a moment, Rimuru was stunned. Was Diablo seriously suggesting that Rimuru and Leon fight to resolve the situation? "Hey," Rimuru immediately objected. "A demon lord shouldn't be doing something so reckless." "There is no need to trouble Rimuru-sama," Diablo replied calmly. "I will take care of this." As he spoke, Diablo narrowed his eyes at Leon, staring at him like a predator eyeing its prey. At that moment, Rimuru couldn't tell whether Diablo was joking or completely serious. To be honest, he was curious about who would win, but that curiosity could never justify letting such a battle happen. "I'm saying the damage would be enormous," Rimuru snapped. "Your mission is to protect Leon, not challenge him. You're way out of line." Diablo puffed out his cheeks in disappointment. He didn't seem particularly remorseful, but at least he backed off, so Rimuru decided to drop it. That was when Guy added fuel to the fire. "Scold him properly, Rimuru. He's a real bastard. Even yesterday he picked a fight with me and destroyed the training grounds, and I was going easy on him." Rimuru froze. "Wait, you fought Diablo?" "Yes," Diablo answered smoothly. "I've been rather bored lately, so I engaged in some light exercise." Rimuru had no idea how to even process that information. All he could think was how fortunate it was that the fight hadn't happened today. Meanwhile, Leon let out a deep, irritated sigh. "This all started when that maid challenged Diablo," Leon explained. "She was beaten thoroughly and ran away, cursing her defeat." As he spoke, Leon glanced pointedly at Rain, making it very clear who he was referring to. "That's impossible!" Rain protested immediately. "You must be joking. I'm not some pathetic loser, and I didn't lose in the first place." Rimuru couldn't help but think she didn't actually deny fighting him. "Your subjective opinion isn't worth listening to," Leon cut her off coldly. Diablo seized the opportunity to speak. "Ku-fu-fu-fu. As for me, I dislike bullying the weak. I graciously let her go." "Huh?" Rain snapped. "Didn't I tell you I'd get serious next time? Did you misunderstand because I was holding back?" "Did you forget," Diablo replied calmly, "that you brought Mizeri to challenge me in a 2-on-1 fight? Next time I'll have to discipline you more thoroughly." And just like that, the argument reignited once again. At this point, Rimuru finally understood that these two were constantly bickering. Strangely enough, it even felt somewhat cute. Leon then added that they had been fighting almost every day for the past 2 weeks. And before anyone realized it, they somehow ended up on the same side. "Huh? Do you have any proof for that nonsense?" Rain stubbornly argued. "Did you really think we wouldn't notice?" Leon replied calmly. "In Fight Diablos with Guy yesterday, you were shouting things like, 'Fuck you!' and 'Show some more fighting spirit, Diablo!'" Before Rain could respond, Guy cut in with visible disgust. "Rain, you're exposing your true colors. You were cheering for Diablo instead of me." "That's impossible!" Rain denied immediately. "I would never use such vulgar language, and I am a loyal follower of Gi-sama. Leon-sama must be mistaken." She said that without hesitation. Watching this, Rimuru finally understood the situation. While Diablo was fighting Guy, Rain had been openly rooting for Diablo. No wonder Guy looked so depressed. Despite usually acting serious, Rain clearly had a very childish personality. She was the type who acted without thinking and believed she could do whatever she wanted. After hearing everything, it was obvious which side made more sense. Rimuru turned directly to Diablo and asked, "Diablo, how did you two end up like this?" Diablo would never lie to Rimuru. He smiled and answered honestly, "It is all thanks to the majesty of Rimuru-sama. I told Rain stories about you and she was converted because of them." "That's terrifying." Rimuru nearly said brainwashing, but swallowed the word. Is that so?" "Actually," Rain added with a small curtsy, "I'm a fan of Rimuru-sama. In exchange for hearing a few stories from Diablo, I decided to help him a little." Her personality really did a complete 180. Seeing this, Rimuru couldn't help but feel stunned. He glanced at Guy, who simply shook his head as if to say it was already too late. "Sorry about my idiots," Guy muttered. No, Rimuru replied. "Diablo can be just as troublesome. We're in the same boat." Realizing that Guy was also constantly dealing with difficult subordinates made Rimuru feel closer to him. Meanwhile, Mizeri, who usually kept a completely expressionless face, reacted unusually to Guy's apology. "Wait, does that mean I've been treated like an idiot all this time because of rain?" Rimuru chose to pretend he hadn't heard that. After chatting for a while longer, Rimuru was guided to a hidden room behind the audience chamber, where a throne was located. There, he set up a magic transfer circle. Since it weighed several tens of tons, moving it later would have been troublesome. With his work finished, Rimuru prepared to leave El Dorado. Leon seemed to want Rimuru to take Diablo and Rain with him, but doing so would interfere with their current mission. Rimuru had no intention of taking them anyway, so he left them behind. As they said their goodbyes, Leon spoke quietly. "Take care of Chloe." "I will," Rimuru replied with a nod. Leon accepted this far more easily than Rimuru had expected. Honestly, Rimuru had thought Leon would be much more persistent. When Leon behaved normally, he was actually a pretty decent guy. During their conversation, an unexpected truth also came to light. Leon and Rimuru shared the same taste. Not that kind of taste. Leon's real dream was to become an architect. That explained El Dorado's incredible design. Rimuru had already acknowledged that Leon's aesthetic sense was among the best in the world. Rude, but genuinely a good person. That became Rimuru's new impression of Demon Lord Leon Cromwell. With that, their relationship improved, and Rimuru's visit to El Dorado ended successfully. After returning from Leon's country, Rimuru continued traveling around the world. His goal was to strengthen cooperation with allied nations and to install magic transfer circles in key locations, preparing for a future conflict whose timing remained uncertain. His first destination was the dwarven kingdom of Dwargon. Rimuru remembered that Agera had been dispatched there to train under King Gazelle, so he decided to check on his progress as well. Rimuru teleported directly to Dwargon's main gate. As usual, a long line of merchants and adventurers was waiting to enter the city. Unlike in the past, Rimuru was now able to pass through the noble passage without delay. After announcing himself to the gatekeeper, he was escorted straight into the royal castle. Although he was treated with exceptional courtesy, Rimuru still considered himself a small-time citizen and felt slightly uncomfortable receiving such special treatment. Inside the castle, Rimuru was warmly welcomed by King Gazelle, with Agera standing beside him. Agera knelt respectfully and greeted Rimuru in a formal manner. Rimuru recalled that Agera was the reincarnation of Hakuro's grandfather, a fact that had surprised him when he first learned it. He had intended to speak with Agera properly about this, but had not yet found the opportunity. "Long time no see, King Gazelle. It's good to see you. And Agera as well," Rimuru greeted them. Gazelle laughed and replied, reminding Rimuru once again to address him more casually. Rimuru admitted that he was trying, but whenever he faced Gazelle in such a formal setting, memories of their past trial resurfaced and made him nervous. More than anything, Rimuru deeply respected and trusted Gazelle, which made it difficult for him to relax around the king. Most of those present listened with warm smiles, but Agera spoke up seriously. He pointed out that, as allies, Rimuru and Gazelle stood on equal footing, and Rimuru should not feel inferior when addressing him. Gazelle agreed, explaining that even he became nervous when facing Emperor Elmesia, emphasizing that a leader's manner of speaking reflected their mindset. Gazelle advised Rimuru to be more conscious of his attitude, as one's habits naturally surfaced in critical moments. Once again, Rimuru found himself being taught an important lesson shortly after arriving. The group then moved to the parlor. With drinks in hand, Rimuru and Gazelle exchanged updates on their recent actions. When the discussion turned to the impending conflict with Michael, Gazelle admitted that he felt unable to provide meaningful support in the battles ahead, especially if Velzard became involved. However, this was not an act of surrender. Gazelle firmly stated that if Dwargon were attacked, he and his people would resist until the very end. Rimuru understood Gazelle's reasoning. No matter how powerful Dwargon was, it could not stand against Velzard. Velzard's hostility rendered Veldora ineffective, and only Guy or Velgrin could properly oppose her. As for Rimuru himself, he quietly concluded that retreat would be the wisest option if she appeared. After their discussion, Rimuru proceeded to install a magic transfer circle at the location Gazelle specified. When Gazelle noticed the extremely pure magisteel Rimuru used, he was visibly impressed. Such material normally required extensive time and effort from skilled craftsmen. Rimuru explained that he had created it using his abilities, as waiting was not an option with the enemy approaching. Gazelle agreed to handle the final adjustments. With the magic transfer circle successfully installed, Rimuru had accomplished his objective in Dwargon, and the conversation continued in a more relaxed manner. And the video ends here. Let's follow the rest of the story in the next video. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.